Hi there, it's Vicki McCarthy from Aussie Stampers. Thank you very much for joining me again today. Today's project is how to design custom sized boxes. Now this is what I want to put inside my box, and the process I use to design a box for whatever size cards I have is to measure the depth of the stack of cards and the width of the envelopes, not the cards, and then add a little bit more on as well. So the depth of this stack of cards is 1.5 inch deep, and the lid will be 4 3/4 inches square. So I'm measuring up 4 3/4 inches, and you can see where I've placed these cards on my grid paper is right on the center of the grid paper. Now I'm adding 1.5 inch all the way around the top of the box, and this will make the sides of the top of the box. So I'm joining up all the lines, and the grid paper makes it really easy to do this. And I like to use a steel-edged ruler rather than a wooden ruler. I find they're just more accurate for measuring. So join up all the lines to make the square top of the box, and then extend those lines the depth of the box. So the depth of this box is 1.5 inches. So I'm going to extend that 4 3/4 inch square by 1 inch all the way around. So once you've measured this box, you just need to join up the lines, and that's the box lid measured. Now if you had rectangular cards, it's the same process, just instead of a square you'll have a rectangle for the shape of the lid. And you can make boxes for whatever size you want. If you had cupcakes to put into a box, or you had some soap, or you had gift cards, whatever the gift is that you're putting inside, the way to do it is to lay them on the center of your grid paper and work around them. So I'm just going to cut out that template and put it on my scoring tool for you to see what I'm doing next. So the paper is 7 3/4 inches square, and I'm going to score it at 1.5 inches on all 4 sides. So here we go, scoring at 1.5 inches. Just turn 90 degrees and score that depth of your box on all 4 sides of the lid. Now I want to check, yes, the envelope fits in there perfectly, so that's good. And I'm going to decorate the lid with the Thoughtful Thanks stamp set. These are the cards that are going inside, and you can see the greeting is on the right hand lower side of the card. I want to mimic that on the box as well. So a little bit of Versamark, stamp that on. Then I'm going to bring in some white embossing powder, sprinkle that over. Just give it a tap. And I'm just going to grab the spoon and make sure I have enough powder on that top section. And I like to turn my cardstock over and give it a flick. There we go. Now I'm going to take that away and emboss it with my heat tool. And now we're ready to start cutting the box. So you're going to cut up on each of the 4 sides, so the top and the bottom are going to look the same. And then when you've cut to those score lines, you're going to flag these tabs on the ends. And this allows the box to sit really neatly together and to give a nice professional finish. Now I'm going to bring in my scoring tool, my bone folder, and just score all the lines. And the tape I'm going to use to adhere this is the Tape and Tear tape. This is new in the catalogue, and it's replacing the red sticky strip, which was notoriously difficult to use on a video because I would constantly be trying to peel the red top of it off and I couldn't do it. So I'm really pleased to have this tear and tape. But as you can see, you don't even need to cut it, you just hold it with your finger and tear it to the length that you want. You're going to put 2 rows of tape on all 4 sides, then peel off the top layer. Now this next stage here is quite crucial when you're making your box. Take a little bit of time to line up those edges perfectly. So you can see how I've lined this up so they're a perfect match. And if you do this, your box will always have that professional finish. Now this tear and tape is really strong adhesive, and it's what I would recommend for 3D projects. Now just give your box a bit of a squeeze to help it stay in that square shape. Now I brought my template back in, so we want to make the base of the box slightly smaller than the lid so it will fit on top. And I'm just bringing it in 1/8 of an inch to 1 5/8 of an inch all the way around. And this is going to give us a comfortably fitting base for the box. So you can see how I've moved that to 1 5/8 of an inch. And that means that inner square is going to be slightly smaller so the lid will fit on quite comfortably. Now if you wanted a tighter fitting lid, the scoring tool only has 1/8 of an inch increments. So you would need to take this to your trimmer and use your scoring blade and use the 1/16 of an inch increments. And I would score it at 1 9/16 of an inch if you wanted a really tight fitting base. However, there's a good reason that I'm using the measurements I'm using. With a box of cards, I want it to be easy to get the cards in and out of, and I want it easy to open and close the lid for the person who receives it. So the same again with the base, just putting that tear and tape on all 4 corners, taking extra care with your edges that they're perfectly aligned before you commit to adhering them. And then give your box a bit of a squeeze so that the square shape looks really quite nice and tidy. These are the cards I'm putting in. And if you want to know how to make these cards and envelopes, I have an earlier video of how to do that. You can scroll back and find that. They fit into this box really comfortably, and you can see when I go to put the lid on, it's easy to get this lid to line up. Now I'll turn it over and show you. There is a slight gap on the bottom, which is exactly how I planned this. If you don't like to see that gap, then you would be looking at scoring it at 1 9/16 of an inch on your trimmer and using your scoring blade. Now I'm bringing in some ribbon, and this is matching the colour of the box, which is Dapper Denim, and I'm using the ruched ribbon. And I'm tying the bow off to the top left hand side so that it's not going to cover up the sentiment that I've stamped on the box and embossed. Just trim off your ties, and then you have a card box that is suitable for any size cards that you wish to make. I hope you enjoyed today's project. That template is a useful one to have. Your grid paper is a great tool to use for that. Thanks for joining me, and I look forward to joining you again next time. Bye.